Supriya Shrinate, let's turn to the opposition first, because we just heard the chief economic advisor suggesting he's cautiously optimistic about a V-shaped recovery. That he says October to December is going to be much better than the first 2 quarters, and there are early signs of manufacturing in particular picking up. Your response?
Without taking anything away from him, he's the same chief economic advisor who had predicted a 1 to 2% growth in a quarter where economy shrunk by over 24%. So the lesser said about his V-shaped recovery theory, the better it would be. I would only put 2 points forward, and I think the discussion needs to be held there, both at the economic and the political level. This is no longer just the fall in GDP rate we are talking about. We are talking about a considerable shrinking of the GDP volume, and that has huge ramifications for economic opportunities and for jobs. The second and more important point is we have entered into a recession. 1 more quarter of acute negative growth, we will be in deep recession. The government still continues to be in denial, and it cannot hide behind Corona, because our problems existed even before COVID hit us. We had 8 consecutive quarters of falling growth. Our GDP growth
the Reserve Bank of India says October to December will be
to 4.2 in
Supriya Shrinate, Supriya Shrinate, the Reserve Bank of India report, which says yes, we are in recession, 2 consecutive quarters of contracting growth, also suggests that there could be a recovery October to December and things could get better in 2021.
It will get better. Will we go back to pre-COVID levels is the big question. And what is the government doing about it? Are we going to lend our way out of this slowdown? Because if they plan to do that, and that's exactly what they have demonstrated so far, we will not be able to do so. We need to boost consumption. We need to focus on the unorganized sector. And for that to happen, you have to have a cash transfer scheme, without which, with all humility at my behest, nothing will move in the Indian economy. You've got to incentivize consumption. Unless and until you do that, there will be no investment and there will be no job creation.
You know, linked to that, Sanju Verma, is the fact that out of this 29.5 lakh crore, 29.5 lakh crore fiscal stimulus which is being spoken about, much of this is to address liquidity issues. What you are not addressing is the real crisis on the demand side, on the consumption side. Today the finance minister spoke about how first-time householders will get certain tax benefits. That is, the government hopes will stimulate demand, but at no stage is the government actually talking of how are they actually going to put cash in hand of those who really perhaps need it most. And unless you get that, how are you going to revive demand? The chief economic advisor says that people will save, will not invest, but the experience in other countries suggests that you need to put cash in hand.
It's a blast.
Okay, Rajdeep, you've asked some pertinent questions. I hope you will extend me the courtesy of giving you pointed rebuttals and responses. First of all, let me make it very clear. This allegation that there was a slowdown even before the COVID pandemic struck. Let me remind people that for the March 2020 quarter, everybody has been raising a stink about the fact that we grew by only 3.1% in terms of GDP growth. What nobody seems to be making a noise about is the fact that in the March 2020 quarter, before the corona pandemic struck, China degrew, contracted by 6.8%, the US by 4.8%, Japan by 3.4%, Germany by 2.2%, and the UK again by 5%. So we weathered the storm much better. Point number 2. Why is it that nobody seems to be talking about the fact that in 2019 we overtook France to become the 6th largest, and in February 2020 we overtook the United Kingdom to become the 5th largest economy in terms of nominal GDP overall. The third point, you raised a very important point, Rajdeep, is the demand destruction.
That we've been
My
slowing
simple
down.
point is statistics don't lie.
Yes.
Let me come. Rajdeep, this is not fair. Let me make my last point, please. I listened to you, Rajdeep. Please extend me the courtesy. Demand is best measured when you look at situation on the ground. Now, if you look at the Navratri sales of Maruti Suzuki, in 9 days they sold 95,000 units. People allege, oh, that was pent-up demand. So, excuse me, Britannia reported a 23% growth in September quarter. Was that also pent-up demand? ACC reported a 21% growth in its profit. Was that also pent-up demand? Power consumption in the last 3 months has gone up by 12% on an average. Is that also pent-up demand? GST revenues have inched up by 10% plus year on year at 1.05 lakh crore in October after doing 95,000 crore plus in September. Is that also pent-up demand? No. Demand resurgence is coming back.